is Rick Brown. I'm an assistant superintendent for Dawson County School System, and I'm filling in today for our superintendent, Mr. Keith Porter, who was unable to be here. He gives his sincere regrets that he and his family are in attendance at the funeral. Please keep them in your thoughts and prayers. On behalf of the Dawson County Board of Education, Dawson County Middle School faculty and staff, and the students of Dawson County School System, I'd like to welcome each of you to Dawson County Middle School. We take great pride in being the annual host of this event. We truly cherish this opportunity and look forward to each special Veterans Day program. I want to give a special welcome to each of our veterans in attendance today. You are our heroes, and we thank you. At this time, I would like to recognize several of our dignitaries present today. Dignitaries, please stand and remain standing when I call your name or the name of your organization. In audience, please hold your applause until everyone has been introduced. I will be calling names, even of those who may not be in attendance. U.S. Representative Tom Graves, Representative Amos Anderson, Senator Steve Gooch, City Council members, Dawson County Commissioners, Dawson County Law Enforcement and EMS, Dawson County Board of Education members, Dawson County Chamber of Commerce, Mrs. Linda Williams, President. Please join me in thanking them for their continued support of this most deserving event. As you look to my right and see these wonderful band students, and as you observe our outstanding junior ROTC students participating in the program today, I know that you share my belief that these students, as well as all the others, have opportunities for a bright future due to the sacrifices that have been made and continue to be made by our armed services. I want to thank the band and JROTC for being here today and representing our school system. In 2 short years, the junior ROTC program, under the direction of Lieutenant Colonel Johnny Sweat and Sergeant First Class Stephen Hamlin, has over 10% of our student body as participants. I mention this to let you, the veterans of our great nation, know that the students of today continue to value service, freedom, and country. Today we gather to recognize our veterans and to thank each of you for your service. We thank not only our veterans but also their families for the sacrifices that you all have made. On behalf of all of us, welcome. At this time, it is my honor to introduce our Master of Ceremony. Captain Larry Freeland is a resident of Dawson County and comes from a long line of veterans. His great-grandfather fought in the Civil War. His grandfather fought in World War I as a doughboy. His father retired from the U.S. Air Force after serving in World War II and through the Vietnam era. Larry and his 2 brothers are also veterans. After graduating from the University of South Florida in 1968, Larry joined the United States Army. He served one tour in Vietnam with the 101st Airborne Division as a helicopter pilot. He participated from the beginning in Operation Dewey Canyon 2, known as Lam Son 719. This was a massive invasion deep into Laos by the South Vietnamese Army aimed at crushing Viet Cong supply routes to the south. Lam Son 719 was the last major operation the Americans fought in Vietnam and was the largest helicopter air operation of the war. The operation started on January 29, 1971 and ended on April 6th. In less than 3 months, 725 helicopters were classified as lost or shot down in Laos. Larry was shot down 3 times during Lam Son 719 and is the recipient of the Distinguished Flying Cross with 1 oak leaf cluster, the Air Medal with 9 oak leaf clusters, the Bronze Star, and the Vietnamese Cross of Gallantry. Upon his release from active duty in 1973, he returned to civilian life and pursued a career in financial industry. He worked for 27 years in the banking business with Trust Company Bank CNS, now Bank of America, and Wachovia. He retired from banking in April 2000, worked as a financial consultant in the Atlanta area for 3 years, and is now an instructor at Linder Technical College. I think he mentioned he just retired in June. Larry stays actively involved in various volunteer activities as a member of the Veterans Affairs of Dawson County and is active in the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. His wife, Linda, is a retired elementary school teacher and is also active in volunteer activities. They have 2 daughters, 3 grandsons, and 2 granddaughters. Please welcome Captain Larry Freeman.
Thank you. Welcome, special dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, the young people here today, and my fellow veterans, to this, our 7th annual Veterans Day ceremony. Exactly 2 months ago today, it was the 10th anniversary of 9/11. Since that day, in 2000, we have been at war, having lost over 7,000 American military personnel, and over 50,000 have been wounded, many of them severely. In the early dark days of World War II, the German Luftwaffe tried to destroy England's ability to fight. Hitler wanted to invade that island and take it over. That came to be known as, in 1940, the Battle of Britain. Britain won that battle and persevered. At that time, Winston Churchill summed it up in his immortal statement, "Never have so many owed so much to so few." At this time, 71 years later, in my opinion, that statement is true in our situation. Never have so many, the American people, owed so much. We still continue to enjoy freedom from terrorist attacks on our soil to so few, the men and women of our military. On that fateful day, once the towers had collapsed and the immensity of the attack began to sink in for all of us, we didn't know what to do or where to turn. As a nation, we had not been scared like that for generations. Parents hugged their children to give them support as much as to receive it. Strangers on the streets, stunned and crying in many cases, hugged each other to give comfort as well as to give it. On that day, there was a small segment of America that made a very different choice. Actions the rest of us on that day and every day since have stood in awe. Those are our policemen and firemen in the New York area. Their ranks were decimated that day as they ran to the towers to fulfill their oath to protect and serve. Many of them lost their lives that day fulfilling that oath. Then there are the men and women of our armed forces who have taken the fight to Al-Qaeda and their terrorist allies. When future generations ask why America is still free in the heyday of Al-Qaeda and their terrorist allies, who predicted that they would be take over for centuries to come, we can look to our soldiers, our sailors, our Marines, and our Coast Guard, and they can say, because of me, and people like me, all who chose to protect and serve, who will never know our names. At this time, I would like to ask the wounded warriors, if there are any present, to please stand, or hold your hand up if you cannot stand. We were to have a few here today. I would also ask the veterans or active duty military personnel who have served in Iraq and or Afghanistan to please stand. Thank you to all of you. This time I would ask Chaplain Vic Wallace to come forward for the invitation.
Will you pray with me, please? Father, we thank you for the freedom we have to meet this Veterans Day. We thank you for the men and women who, when called upon, gave their best to serve and protect our country. We pray that you will bless them, Lord, for their unselfish service to protect our freedom and safety. We especially pray for the families of those who gave their lives, who made the ultimate sacrifice to defend our freedom. We pray for all those who serve us now in our country and around the world, especially those in harm's way. Shield them from danger and bring them home safely. We ask all these things in Jesus' name. Let's give it. Amen.
Thank you, Vic. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the presentation of the colors and the pledge of allegiance. You will join me in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Toast the colors.
Ready? Cut! Reset. Box. Over. Box. Left. Place. Over. Box. Place. Upward. March.
Please be seated. The Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 970, will bring forward the first wreath honoring all veterans. Member of American Legion, Post 247, and an active duty member of the 5th Mountain Ranger Battalion will bring forward a wreath honoring all Purple Heart recipients. This time, I would ask all veterans, active duty personnel who are recipients of the Purple Heart who are here with us today to please stand and remain standing for a minute. I would also ask, in remembrance of First Lieutenant Noah Harris, Corporal Zachary Ryan Ensley, and Corporal Matthew Phillips, if any member of their families are here today, please stand. And our little star lady, please stand where she's here. To all of you, we say thank you. At this time, will you please join me in a moment of silence for our POWs and our MIAs. this time we come to a part of our program we've done now for 5 years called the Unwavering Line. It's a salute to our nation's military history. John F. Kennedy once said that a nation reveals it's not only revealed by the men it honors, but by the men it produces and the men it remembers. With that in mind, it is my distinct pleasure to once again present the Unwavering Line and salute to our military history. The American Revolutionary War, 1775, 1783. Total service members involved, 217,000, of which over 6,800 died and over 8,500 were wounded. War of 1812 to 1815. Total service members involved were over 287,000, of which over 2,300 died and 4,500 were wounded. The Indian Wars, approximately 1817 to 1898. Total service members involved, 106,000, of which over 6,100 died and 2,200 were wounded. Native American casualties are unknown. The Mexican-American War, 1846 to 1848. Total service members involved, 79,000, of which over 13,200 died and over 4,200 were wounded. Civil War, 1861 to 1865. Total Americans involved were over 3,250,000. Over 564,000 were killed, and over 419,000 were wounded. Spanish-American War, 1898. Total service members involved were over 307,000, of which over 2,400 died and over 1,700 were wounded. Filipino War, 1898-1902. Total service members involved, over 126,000, of which over 4,200 died and over 2,900 were wounded. World War I, 1917 to 1918. Total service members involved, over 4,700,000. 117,000 died and over 204,000 were wounded. World War II, 1941 to 1945. Over 16,200,000 men were involved, of which over 408,000 died, over 672,000 were wounded. The Korean War, 1950 to 1953. Total service members involved, over 1,800,000. Over 36,000 died, over 103,000 were wounded. Vietnam War, 1964 to 1975. Total service members involved were a little over 3,400,000, of which over 58,200 died and over 153,000 were wounded. Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm. Total service members involved were over 600,000, of which 529 died and 467 were wounded. Our current war is Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom. Total service members involved today, over 3 million, of which over 7,000 have lost their lives and over 50,000 have been wounded, and the numbers continue to grow. The Unwavering Line standing before you here today represents over 230 years of our military history, 13 major wars or engagement, of which over 40 million Americans served, over 1,300,000 lost their lives, and over 1,500,000 were wounded. At this time, the Dawson High School band will play a salute to our veterans by branch. When you hear your branch, please stand. United States Navy. States Coast Guard. Detail dismissed.
Forward! Forward!
At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce to you our keynote speaker today, Colonel James Lindy Linder. He is the Director of Intelligence, Airspace, and Information Operations for the 22nd Air Force, Dobbins Joint Air Reserve Base in Georgia. As the Director, it is his responsibility to be an enabler for the wing commanders and the operations group commanders to ensure mission preparedness of 23,000 airmen that serve in 13 wings that make up the 22nd Air Force. Colonel Linder is a native of Deer River, Minnesota, where he graduated from high school in 1976. He graduated in 1981 with a Bachelor of Science in Architect and a Bachelor of Arts in Architectural Studies from North Dakota State University in Fargo, North Dakota. His Air Force career began in Medina Air Force Base, Texas on December 23rd, 1982, where he attended the Flight Screening Program Officer Training and Officer Training Schools. He was commissioned a second lieutenant in the United States Air Force in April 1983. From that date to December 1984, he attended undergraduate pilot training at Williams Air Force Base, Arizona, and on to C-130E schools at Little Rock Air Force Base, Arkansas, and Poe Air Force Base, North Carolina. His first assignment was with the 37th Tactical Airlift Squadron as a pilot at Rhein-Main Air Base in Frankfurt, West Germany. From there, he would go on to serve in many capacities to include aircraft commander, instructor pilot, evaluator pilot, chief of standardization and evaluation, chief of weapons and tactics, assistant to the commander, and operation group commander. He was a pilot instructor and a courseware development subject matter expert for the Central Training Flight in the 1st Special Operations Wing, which is responsible for training all crews entering special operations. He is one of 13 aircraft commanders in the world that currently hold all special qualifications and are capable of taking a crew anywhere in the world on classified missions. Colonel Linder participated in operations Just Cause, Desert Shield, Desert Storm, Gable Shark, and numerous classified missions. Before taking on his current assignment in October of 2010, he was the 407th Operations Group Commander, 321st Air Expeditionary Wing, Allah Base, Iraq. He is the recipient of several major awards and commendations. I'll just list a few of them. The Bronze Star Medal, Defense Meritorious Service Medal, Meritorious Service Medal with 1 oak leaf cluster, Air Medal, Area of Achievement Medal with 3 oak leaf clusters, Air Force Commendation Medal with 1 oak leaf cluster, Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, and the Armed Forces Service Medal. Colonel Linder is married to the former Nakia Lynn Morgan of Rochester, New York. They have 2 children who are here with them today, Alexis and Olivia, and reside in Woodstock, Georgia. Please join me in welcoming Colonel Linder.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Good Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much. That was kind of lengthy and a little bit obnoxious, and I apologize for that. I will tell you this, it sounds pretty impressive, but I have a lot of great people working for me. And the other thing I'm going to tell you right up front is I'm not a hero. But I will tell you I've met an awful lot of heroes, and there are a number of them in this room today. Please thank them when you get a chance. We've been up to Dawsonville many times, my wife and I. We come up here quite frequently, 2 or 3 times a month with an organization we're with. And we've really gained an appreciation for your town. And to me, and I mean this out of respect and dignity, this is small town America to me. I grew up in a small town, about 400 people. And they respected their veterans as you do yours. And that's very important because if we don't pay attention to our past, we don't learn from it, we make the same mistakes again. I remember parades in my hometown, and the colors would come by, and people would stand and salute. They might be a little aged in their response, a little bit rickety in their salutes, but they were poignant and heartfelt. And I asked my father who they were, and he said, those are veterans. Pay attention. I did. And I think that's one of the reasons that Dawsonville has become so close to us, because of the way you embrace it. The flags are flying. Do you remember after September 11th? Remember the way the flags were flying after that? That's pretty impressive. But we knew the American public would kind of forget about that. The flags would come back. But I'll tell you, for what, maybe a couple weeks, maybe a couple days, maybe a couple months, we were all New Yorkers. By God, you made a mistake. I would like to think it was kind of like when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, and Hitler got upset with the Japanese, saying, you might have awakened a sleeping giant. Well, you're damn right you did. And I'd like to think in some dusty old cave in the mountains of Afghanistan, somebody was going, oops, maybe we shouldn't have done that. I don't know. Hold on, let's try this differently. November 11th, 2011. Is that today? 11. And we all understand the significance if you've been paying attention here. The significance of 11. For on the 11th hour of the 11th day in the 11th month, an armistice was signed in 1918. And that armistice signified the end of hostilities of World War I. Do we remember what they called World War I? The Great War, right? Remember that? How about this? The war to end all wars. Boy, I hope that guy has another job. Do as it does with it. 11. The war to end all wars. If we didn't have any more wars, we wouldn't need the military. And we wouldn't have to put all the money into the research, into these new products and these new technologies that we use. But unfortunately, we have wars. And if we're going to have a war, we want to have a strong military because we want to have it. So people say, I'll attack everybody, but I don't want to attack them. Them means us. We want to be strong in what we do. With that strength, that backbone, that deterrent, is what keeps them away. But my God, you know what? We ended up having World War II, Korean War, Vietnam War, Operations Underwood War, and now we're fighting terrorists. Anybody in your mind, this is a hypothetical question. Do you know how many times we've been attacked, either on our soils or overseas, by terrorists? I did a little research. In the 70s, we were attacked 27 times. In the 80s, that 10-year period, we were attacked 17 times. In the 90s, it was 14 times. In the 2000s, up till today, we've been attacked 26 times. Do you want to have a strong military? Is it important? You're darn right it is. Now, with those attacks, there's a few that come to mind. Let's see if you remember them too. How about 1983? Marines, how many Marines do we have in here? Is that date? There we go. Does that date ring a bell for you? Beirut, Marine Barracks. Boy, that hurt to me. That was just when I was starting the military. How about 1993? Here's a surprising one. I know these young folks over there have no idea about this. But the World Trade Center was attacked the first time. Do you remember that? A van full of explosive driven underneath exploded. Not that many people were killed, but thousands were injured. What's another year? 1995. Do you remember that year? How about the Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City? And that's from one of our own idiots in our midst. In 1996, we had Qamar Towers, Saudi Arabia. And only 20 people were killed, but I lost a couple of friends in that one. How about 2000? Navy, are you here? USS Cole. Remember that attack? And then we have 2001. Morning of 2001, September 11th, I was an airline pilot. Fortunately, not working that day, I was at home. My wife was getting ready to go to work for the Red Cross. She didn't know she was going to be that busy that day. I was trying to talk to a guy at Patrick Air Force Base down in Florida, and he basically said, turn on the TV, and hung up. And I thought, boy, was that rude. I turned on the TV, American Airlines Flight 11 had already flown into the North Tower. United Airlines Flight 175, I got to see flying into the South Tower. Let's not forget about American Airlines Flight 77. At almost 600 miles an hour flew into the Pentagon. Let's also not forget about United Flight 93. With a bunch of civilian people on board who became veterans that day, said, let's roll. Got into the cockpit, put that airplane down, giving their lives to save a horrific ending that could have happened. They say it was going for the Capitol. They say it was going for the White House. We don't know. Fortunately, we'll never know that. With the incidents that I just mentioned, that totals up roughly, if I'm not mistaken, 3,700 killed and over 8,000 injured. There is a reason that the military must stay strong. And I'd love to see this. ROTC, that's awesome. These young folks are going to be our future. They're going to do a good job. So we've talked about our situation right now. We talked about our need for the military. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the inside of the veterans. When the veterans all stand up and we all give them a round of applause, that's not trite. That's not simplistic. That's very meaningful. And we appreciate that. Here's a little secret, though, and I hope you all understand this. We didn't want to miss that birthday. I'm sorry, maybe those birthdays. I'm sorry we missed that anniversary or two. I didn't want to miss that soccer game or those recitals or the music. We didn't want to be away, but we had to. Unfortunately, we have people, family members that understand that. When I got back last year, I spoke here. Something dawned on me that I feel I have to share with you. You know what, vets, guys, gals, brothers, sisters, you know this. It's nothing unusual. I want to make sure that all our support folks here know this. When we go away, we're doing what we're trained to do. We have very little distractions on the outside. Dare I say, it's a bit easier than we're trying to do it back home. Now I'm going to tell you something. When my wife and I exchanged vows on our wedding day, I don't recall the part being, oh yes, and I'll be a single parent whenever you have to go away to serve your country. I don't recall that part. When I was gone, she had to be, let's see if I get these right, expert plumber one time. We had to have a washer-dryer repair person twice. She did it. An automotive specialist who brakes 3 times. To name a few, when everything breaks, we're working on, doesn't it? And I'm going to tell you, in many ways, you serve more, but I will tell you, it's just as important as the way we serve. And we walk around with our chests out on. It's pretty nice. It's earned every one of those earned. But I tell you, I probably shouldn't be wearing this, or she should be wearing this. Because she's given as much to this country, if not more, than I have. And I cannot imagine what it would be like being in a foxhole, being on point, trying to keep people at bay, and having problems back home. And where they're fortunate, they teach us to compartmentalize, to put things away for a little bit. And when we come off that intense experience, we don't get the downtime. And now we have to mentally try to process this. And it's a very difficult thing. So all the families that have taken care of us, that have cared for us, and take care of the home front while we're gone, you don't know how much that means. It's critical. And I thank you. And vets, I appreciate your support on this. With all the husbands and wives, sons and daughters, mothers and fathers of the veterans, please stand up. Please stand up. There's more than that. More than that. Excellent. Vets, will you help me out? A round of applause for them. Don't forget, they serve too. When veterans meet, we often call ourselves brothers and sisters. How are you doing, brother? How are you doing, sister? Here's our other little secret. It's not just the other family. We all went to high school or college, probably played on teams of some sort, in a band, on the football team, in the choir. Those are teams. You learn teamwork. Someone's there to pick you up. Playing football, you miss the tackle, but the next guy gets him. Good work. It's teamwork. It's someone covering for you. It's a little bit heightened in our profession. Teamwork to us means I've got your back. If something's going to happen to you, I will be there to get you out. Not missing a tackle. That is getting shot, getting injured, getting wounded, and having to get out of that situation. As much as I trust you to get me out of that situation, I know that you trust me to get you out of that situation. There's teamwork. Intense teamwork. So the family goes a little bit deeper than you would think. So in closing, again, I say thank you for allowing me to speak with you today. I will tell you that there are many people in here that have far better things to say and far more stirring conversation. I look forward to hearing them in the future. But I will say this: God bless you, veterans. God bless you, families. God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel. That was great, and we appreciate you being here and sharing your time with us, and a token of our appreciation, we have this little token. Presentation of the Veteran of the Year.
Sorry, I was told keynote speaker. For many of you, this is your 7th year with the Dawson County Parade Ceremony and Meeting. For some of you, this is your first time, so welcome. I'm Pam Himalayan, and I'm the president of the Veterans Affairs of Dawson County. 8 years ago, I went to my boss, Linda Williams, and said, I want to do something more for the veterans. And she said, okay. She never questioned how much time it was going to take or how much energy. So 7 years later, here we are. 5 years we've been recognized as a regional site by the Department of Veterans Affairs, the U.S. Department. So we would like to present Ms. Linda Williams a letter of appreciation from our board of directors. She didn't think I could keep a secret. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to introduce to you the Board of Directors for the Veterans Affairs of Dawson County. Joe Fuller, Bill Sexton, Barbara Fuller, Wayne Watkins, Larry Freeland, Amy Reeves, Kristen Cloud, Don Brown, David Hildebrand, Linda Williams, Inez Couch, Rosalind Chambers, Treasurer, Brenda Hathcock, Secretary, Vice President Robert Bob Couch, Robert Bob Couch.
That's your message that this year's 2011 Veteran of the Year Award goes to our beloved but recently lost friend, Robert Bob Couch. It's been barely 2 months since Bob was called to his heavenly home. So he's not here with us physically today, but his spirit does fill this room. As president of your Chamber of Commerce, I sat here listening to the ceremonies, and I thought, this life that we lead here in the United States of America, as we know and we say so many times, but we really need to think about our veterans and our active military. Because of them, we're free to work where we want to. We're free to try to make as much money and prosper as we want to. We're not told who to work for or how little you can make or whatever. We have the freedoms to do the best that we can for ourselves. So with that today, I thank every veteran here. I thank my father, who served 20 years in the United States Navy, and all the active military out there. I just cannot imagine what this country would be like without all these wonderful men and women who have served. This year's Veteran of the Year, Bob Couch, was a veteran of the United States Navy. He was a great man. He was an entrepreneur. Bring that up because as Chamber of Commerce, I think they're perhaps right under active military veterans. Probably the next bravest person is an entrepreneur. When you're an entrepreneur, you step out of your comfort zone and you do something, and if you succeed or you fail, it's all on your shoulders. And Bob was an entrepreneur. He was a designer by trade. He was a certified kitchen designer by profession. He was an artist. He was a musician. He talked to me several times over the years about his different entrepreneurial efforts that were going on. As far as his family, he and his wonderful bride, Inez, were married almost 48 years, and they have 2 sons, Robert, or Rob, and his wife, Shed, and Terrell, known as Terry, and his wife, Lisa, and they have 2 grandchildren, Allison and Adam. He was a family man, and he will be well loved by his family and friends. He moved to Dawsonville in 2002 from Hall County and began volunteering in a number of Dawson County efforts in our community. One of those was the Chamber of Commerce as the ambassador. Now, an ambassador for any organization is a very trustworthy position. You put the reputation of your organization on the line with your ambassadors. Well, he was a great ambassador for our Chamber of Commerce. If you knew Bob, I don't think he ever met a stranger. In fact, when I started thinking about when did I meet Bob, I couldn't remember. It was like I always do. He was there for our Chamber of Commerce events. The only time I can remember him telling me no was I asked him to serve as a bartender once at a chamber event, and he did turn me down on that. But other than that, I think he always said yes. Not only did he work tirelessly for the Chamber of Commerce, he was a Care for Kids volunteer. He worked there Christmas and Easter events, and certainly the Moonshine Festival. He was a poll worker for the Board of Elections. And as has already been mentioned, he served as Vice President of the Veterans Affairs of Dawson County for the last 2 years. handsome than the George Washington, so George has been proud to have Bob portraying him. Bob was a member of the Liberty Baptist Church for 6 years. Did I mention he was a musician? He played the trumpet for over 50 years at many functions, including he often was the official bugler for this group here for many of the Veterans Affairs events. He was an artist. In addition to his kitchen design work, he loved pen and ink drawing. And some of his handiwork is held by homeowners around the county whose home he put in pen and ink drawings. He loved trout fishing, and he was a great trout fisherman. You might have seen him on the river anytime the trout season was open. One of the things he designed that I didn't mention was the Serenity Garden out at Veterans Memorial Park. In fact, this morning there was a ceremony dedicating the Serenity Garden to him, and I urge you to go out there sometime and see the plaque that was placed there and look at his handiwork. And Bob was known to go there sometimes just to sit, relax, and reflect himself. You might have seen him sitting on the bench with his dog Cooper by his side. Well, our friend did pass away this year, and his memory will live on. We thank him for the many things that he did to serve this group of veterans in our county and the many community organizations that he served in our area. I am proud to stand here with the board of directors for the Veterans Affairs and present this award to his beloved wife Inez and her family as Veteran of the Year goes to Robert Bob Couch.
It's time Don Brown leads a tribute to active military.
Since the beginning of what we call modern man, families have sat, stood, cheered, and watched their family members march off to war. It continues today. Just as you've heard the wars of this nation, and today the families still support. Perhaps there is no truer statement out there right now that they also serve who remain behind. Today, you're going to hear from a family who is remaining behind, plus one soldier, airman, who will go forward for that family. Let's begin with Chris Stevens.
We are the brothers of a military woman. Our sister has been sent to fight. The only place we'll see her face is in our dreams at night.
She has been gone too many days for our minds to keep track. Though we may be sad, we're proud. Our sister has your back. I am a strong and loving father. Daughter has gone to war. A mind is filled with worries I have never known before. Every day I try to keep my thoughts from turning black. My heart may break, but I am proud. My daughter's got your back.
Mother, Mrs. Kathy Stevens.
I am a caring mother with a daughter soon to go. There are times I'm terrified in a way most of you will never know. I bite my lip and force a smile as I watch my daughter pack. I may be scared, but I am very proud. My daughter's got your back.
It's my pleasure to introduce Harold Stacy Stevenson.
my job while knowing the things sometimes lacks. Say a prayer that I'll come home. I am one that has your back.
This time, it's my pleasure and honor to present the Spirit of America Award. This year's recipient of the American Spirit Award has served his country in many ways. He has served overseas in various capacities with the U.S. State Department and has received many awards for his valiant and brave service. He has been a member of the Veterans Alliance since its formation 12 years ago. The Veterans Alliance, who is well represented here today, is an organization of veterans from all branches of service whose primary mission is to conduct military funerals for deceased veterans. He is an accomplished bugler and he uses his talent as a singer at many functions. He has performed over 1,000 funerals in the last 12 years and has been called upon by active duty branches of our military service to assist in their military funerals. Recently, he has conducted military funerals for the U.S. Army and the United States Marine Corps. He has also been involved in many veteran ceremonies in the state of Georgia. These ceremonies include Memorial Day, Independence Day, and Veterans Day. He has performed many years as both a bugler and a singer in Roswell Memorial Day celebrations. This is the largest in the state of Georgia. He has also performed these functions at various ceremonies, Kenote, Dawsonville, and Linder. He is always in high demand due to his talent and unselfish desire to honor our veterans. He is a true patriot who has a strong desire to serve America's veterans. This year's recipient is Raphael Bickelsheimer, who is recommended by Jim Phelps, President of the Veterans Alliance, and it was unanimously approved by the Veterans Affairs of Dawson County Committee. Raphael, will you come forward, please?
I would like to say that I am deeply honored to receive this award, but I tell you what, I think that I had rather receive this award on behalf of the entire Veterans Alliance Honor Guard, who for the past 11 years has been providing full honors military funerals for the families of deceased veterans. As I look at this award, the American Spirit Award, I think of two people. One of them's name is Bill Garner. Is Bill here? Tell Bill to stand up. Bill Garner. The other one is Bill Sperry. Stand up. These two men here are active members of our rifle team. Bill Garner is a veteran of the United States Army and the United States Air Force. Bill Sperry is a veteran of the United States Marine Corps. They are both World War II veterans. They are both 91 years old. Bill Garner is a veteran of the Battle of the Bulge. Bill Sperry is a veteran of the Battle of Guadalcanal. Lined up in these chairs is the members of our rifle team. They represent a vast history of our nation's military, all all branches of the service. So, if it would be okay, I'd rather receive this award in honor of the Veterans Alliance Honor Guard. Thank you very, very much. I'll remember this for the rest of my life.
Well done, Garfield. Just now, I'll ask Pam and Elaine to come forward for Veteran Support Award.
Each year we depend on Dawson County, the county, the city, the community to make donations to the veterans affairs of Dawson County. Without these donations, we are not able to bring you these ceremonies. We had the Dawson County Women's Club make a large donation. Etowah Water and Sewer Authority, Board of Directors, another large donation. And this year, we would like to recognize another business. They donated a 40-inch widescreen TV that we were able to raffle, and we raised over $1,000. So, we have a certificate of appreciation for Walmart of Dawsonville. 10, are you here? Chris Beard will be accepting the award.
This time, if you will please stand, we will have a 21-gun rifle salute, followed by taps, and then the retiring of the colors. Retirement colors. Please be seated. At this time, we want to thank everyone who is involved in making this happen today. And I call your attention to the back of the program. There are all the major contributors to this year's event. Oftentimes we don't look at that very much or really understand what goes into that, but this is the 7th year, and I've been involved in it for 7 years, and I can tell you it's a lot of work for a lot of people. If you look at the banquet sponsors, this is the 7th year that Dawsonville Water has done this, and they've teamed up with Chick-fil-A this year. Special recognition and appreciation goes to the Dawson County Board of Education, Middle School that we're here today, the Dawson Chamber, the City of Dawsonville. If you look to the right, special appreciation to the many young people here today from our North Georgia Color Guard, Dawson County High School Band, Dawson County Junior ROTC, and the parade. There'll be other ROTC units involved in the parade and marking the ceremony day, one of them being the drill team from North Forsyth Marine Corps Junior ROTC, and members of the 5th Mountain Ranger Battalion have joined us here today up in the stand. And I believe every one of them is either Iraqi or Afghanistan veterans. Thank you. And one more thing, with the parade, we'll be forming out here to the right. You go through these doors here, through the back, wounded warriors in the front. I think it's all set up. And once again, we do have a Huey from the Sky Soldiers flying over the parade route for about 10 minutes. This particular aircraft is one of many this group of veterans, Vietnam veterans has in South Atlanta. It's restored. I believe they got the 101st Airborne chopper up again. It's crewed entirely by Vietnam veterans. And those of you who served in Vietnam, particularly if you were on the ground or fire base, and always recall and will never forget what a Huey sounded like. I think I said this last year, but if you're on the ground when it was coming, it meant it was giving you food, ammunition. Maybe it was taking you out of a hot spot or you were a wounded person. I can tell you from the other end, flying in, it wasn't always fun, but it always meant something bringing you out. Enjoy your parade.